Because you guys totally rock, I want to show you another exercise where how we take your Zentangle that you did, and I want to show you how to color it on the computer so it looks like this, if not better. Okay, so you can do this. There's a few steps to it, but it's not hard at all. First thing that you want to do is you're going to photograph on your phone a picture of your Zentangle, and don't get anything in the background. Try to get it right on because we don't want stuff in the background. And of course, you're going to upload it to your Google Drive app, so it is on your Chromebook. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something, we need two links. And so again, we are on the creative process and we are working on the Zentangle portrait. So there's two links that you need, and one's vectorization.org and one's Cliffy.com. So we're starting off with vectorization.org. So I already have it up here. So I'm going to show you what you're going to do, and then while it's loading, I'm going to tell you why we're doing it. So I'm going to choose the file. So you want to find your image. I got so much stuff here. You want to find your image from Google Drive of your Zentangle. Oh, there we go. Now I'm stolen Jacob's here because for the life of me, I can't find my original one. Now, so it's going to start off as a JPEG image and it's going to transform it into an SVG. So I'm going to hit start. Now it's going to take a few minutes. If you find that it says it's not working, to try again later, just go back and do it again and it will work. And so I just want to explain to you why we're waiting, why we're doing this. So a JPEG image, if I zoom a whole lot into any sort of JPEG file, the closer I get, the more I zoom in, the more pixelated it becomes. So you know what I mean by pixelated, you get all these squares. So that's not very good for us when we're on the computer and we want to color and paint something. So what a vectorization does to it, it actually smooths out all those lines. So when I zoom in, it'll be maybe a little bit pixelated, but very little. If we had better computers, it wouldn't be pixelated at all. So another reason why it turns it into this beautiful black and white image, so it gets rid of any sort of shadows, color of the paper, or anything like that. So it makes it really, really clear, which is what we want for coloring. And the third reason why is when we have an SVG file, it would be hard to tell when we see it, but anything on here that's white is actually going to be transparent, which is going to be great for us. So see how clear this image is? Now it's a little bit black right here, but we can erase that, and that's probably just a shadow from when we took the picture. I'm going to download this SVG file by just clicking this. It's going to automatically save to your Google Drive. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to a website called plecky.com. So the link is here. I already have it open. If you've ever used Photoshop before, this is like the next best thing that we can get on a Chromebook, because obviously we can't get Photoshop on Chromebooks, but this is pretty good. So I'm going to upload my SVG image. For me, I have to find it. For me, it's going to show up kind of weird. Here we go. So this is the one that I just did. So for me, this is what it looks like. I can't see the image. On your Google Drive, it's actually going to show up as a solid black square. So the image is there, so don't stress. I'm going to open it. So what I was talking about, see all these squares around it? That's the transparent part. When I import the image, it gives me a couple options, as a layer or as an image. I want to download it and open it as a layer, and I'll show you why in a second. At this point here, if I wanted to, I could rotate it, I could make it bigger, I can move it, whatever you want to do. And when you're happy with it, you put OK. So let me show you how some of this stuff works. We have a paintbrush tool. If I do the drop-down menu, I also have a paint bucket tool. So the paintbrush tool, let me show you how it works, is I can just go ahead and paint. If I don't like what I've done, I hit Control Z, and that's undo. There's also the undo or redo button. If I want to change the color, just click on any of the colors here, go ahead and paint, and voila, undo. If I want to change the size of my paintbrush, I can do this, Control Z, undo. So if you have anything like this, so this black area is coming up, there's also like an eraser tool, which is just over here, and I can just erase that, so big deal. Easy. So the paintbrush tool can paint. Now there's also a paint bucket tool, and again, I can pick whatever color. Let's try blue. And what that does, the paint bucket tool will color in everything in an enclosed area. So if I want to do these little dots, these circles here, it's super easy for me just to fill in those dots. I can do them all one color, I can do another color. But you see, if I go to do this one here, it's going to probably fill up the whole thing, right? Because there's no enclosed space. So I'm going to Control Z, I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to show you what we can do. So the paint bucket tool is super handy for, little things. If I want to zoom in or zoom out, you can't see it, but I'm using two fingers. I can zoom in that way, and I can do stuff like this. Again, yours is going to be better, and you are going to pick better colors. And if I want to zoom back out again, I'm just squeezing it. Another way you can zoom in, zoom out right here, or you can use a hand tool to move stuff around. So that's the paint bucket tool. So it's actually not too bad. So I mean, I can actually go in, let's switch back to my paint bucket tool. I could do these a bunch of different colors, but you see, sometimes it does more than one. It's not the end of the world. Just play around with it and do some cool stuff. If you are in a situation, let's go back to this one, for example, where I want to color in these ones here, but of course if I use a paint bucket tool, it's going to color in everything. This is where layers in the paintbrush become really useful. So let me hit the paintbrush tool. I mean, one thing I could do, I'm going to change the size of this. I could take my time. It's too small. Let's make it a bit bigger. I could take my time and I could try and like as close as I can. I could try and paint all those things, right? But that's going to take a lot of time. I got to go to layers. And this is where layers is really useful. So there's a layer underneath that. So I'm going to go back to the brush tool. And what's nice, when I paint, I'm still on there we go. When I paint, I'm going to make that smaller. I'm painting underneath it because it's the layer underneath. So you can see I can paint like where the black is, but it's not going to show up because I'm actually doing it underneath. So this one is really useful. So say I just wanted this whole square like blue. I'm doing it fast, but you're going to do a way better job. You way better job than me. I can just paint all underneath, right? A lot easier. So that might be handy for some things, right? So if I wanted to go back now and paint on top of it or use the paint bucket tool again, I'm thinking, why isn't this working? Because I'll just show you what happens. If I have the paint bucket tool, let's try yellow. Everything is going to turn yellow. And the reason why that is, Control Z, is because I'm still on the layer underneath and not on the actual image, right? So if you want, you can go through, that's an awful color, right? And you can use a paint bucket tool, you can use a paintbrush tool. So between the two of them, you can goof around and end up with a really colorful image. So I want you to spend some time coloring each one of your squares as creatively as you want. Now, I'm hoping that the Chromebooks that you have, you work with a pencil and you can use it as a stylus, which would be really nice because then you can use it as a drawing tablet. And instead of trying to use your mouse for some of the paint bucket tools, you can actually use your stylus to kind of click on stuff, which might be more precise, or you kind of use it like as a stylus, as a paintbrush. My recommendation as you're working along is every once in a while, hit the save button, because this is an online program and it hasn't crashed on me yet, but you never know, especially if you're doing this at school, we're at school internet. So just every once in a while, I would just save it and then just keep trucking along. When you're done with everything, save it. Of course, it automatically saves to your Google Drive. And then you end up with, hopefully, something that you really like. I think it's going to look great. And with the colors, it makes such a big difference. So go ahead and be as creative as possible that you can with it. And just get used to sort of all the tools and see what you come up with. Okay? Now, then you're going to put it on your digital portfolio. And I want to show you how to have this where I can have my black and white image. I just put the vector up there because it looks nicer, and then my colored image. So let me show you really quickly how to do that. So we're not going to do any reflections right now, but let me show you how I actually end up doing that. Let me go to my demo page. So we would throw up a title on there, and the title is, we're doing the Zentangle. It's going to be title, Zentangle portrait. Okay, so from my page, you can see I have We're going to do our idea board next. So I have a couple boxes beside each other. So easy peasy. I'm going to pick this one. And this. And this one's going to be our exercise. This one's going to be our idea board. We're going to worry about reflections later. So normally what I would do is I would just hit the plus button and I would add my single image, which you totally can. If you just want to put the colored image, go ahead. If you want to be fancy schmancy, what you can do is you can add in that slideshow like I did. So I'm actually going to add it underneath and I slide it up afterwards. So let me go down here, image carousel, and I click this, and then this button comes up. I have to have at least 2 images to have that image carousel thing to work. So I hit the plus button, and unfortunately you can only add 1 image at a time. I don't know, let me hit 2 images. Say I pick this one because I can't find the ones that I actually did. I'm going to upload a second image. This is from my other class. Let's pick this one. Okay, so you get your 2 images up there, which are going to be your vector Zentangle and your colored one, not the ones that I'm showing you, and hit insert. And there we go. This is our image carousel here. You won't be able to like hit the slideshow while you're in edit mode, but I don't want it there. I want it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the box here, but see how everything's highlighted? I don't want everything to be highlighted. I'm going to click it again. So just this image box is highlighted, and then I'm going to throw it in the garbage. And then now there's a space underneath. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to slide it up, and then you're ready to go. And of course, it won't work until you hit publish, because every time you make changes, do you really want to publish? I really do. Right? And let's just view the published site, just so we can test it out. And there you go. And now when I hover over top of it, my 2 images will show up. Neat, eh? Okay. So take your time, give that a shot, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you're doing.